Hey sis, welcome back to Black Girl SOS. It's your girl Snobby, and today we are talking about Black women in holistic health. I have two of the baddest social workers with me. Y'all welcome. Ladies, go ahead and introduce yourself. Esther, you can start.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Esther Annan. I am a licensed master's level social worker. I'm licensed by the state of New York, and I practice in a different arenas from non-for-profit, private work, name it. I'm there using my social work lens to really bring about any kind of pretty much this is life and reality to the work that I do. So holla at me.
Go ahead,
I,
Tina.
okay, I am Tina Marie Brown Joseph. It's a mouthful. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I also have my master's in public health, and I work in HR in a big hospital in New York City.
I told y'all, I only bring y'all the baddest. You welcome. You welcome. So, ladies, let's just jump right in. So, the first thing I want to talk about is what you're seeing in your workspaces with Black women and how they're dealing with COVID, not being able to have close proximity with people, and also how they're dealing with the whole Black Lives Matter on top of, the original pandemic on top of the new pandemic. Mm-hmm. So, Tina, you can take this because you're in New York, so it's all the way live. It's all the way live in
New York City. Yes. So, as far as the Black Lives Matter, which is it's not new, but it's new to some. It's a lot. In a place that the majority of us are not African Americans, that are not minorities, it sometimes feels like you are that person that they have all these questions and, they want to ask you, how are you dealing with this? And, I feel so sorry. I didn't know you had a son, that these were the things you have to talk to with them, because I have a son. So I'm like, this is not new. Like, I didn't know this before. So it's just dealing with that. The good thing is that they have a lot of racial talks. Now they set up a lot of things like open forums for people to talk openly and honestly about it. And it's a good conversation. And I think that's the start, having the conversation and being aware. That's the first step, I think, is being aware, and then educating yourself after that. So, okay, now you know the problem. Now let's educate yourself. I'm not your educator.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me. I'm not about to school you, sis.
Exactly. There's books, there's newspapers, there's the news, there's encyclopedias. You want to take it back to old school? You need to educate yourself.
Yeah, I did have the old school Britannica.
My dad still has it.
I believe my grandmother still has hers. I refuse to even walk upstairs to find out. Esther, how about you?
I think I have to say that I'm blessed because before I'm at a new job right now that started June 1st, and thank God, because
Amen.
That's a blessing in itself nowadays. Mm-hmm. And prior to this new job, I worked with a very racially conscious organization where a lot of our work was rooted in DEI. So we didn't, and me being in leadership and having other people of color join in on the conversation of any kind of conversation, it was always a safe space. Mm-hmm. So I think I've been sheltered, I would say, to be in a space of, I was with them for almost 8 years. Mm. And the space that I'm in right now recently, not recently, but have made a commitment to racial equity work. So being in that space too, that's also being acknowledged. Predominantly, my opinion matters, and it's not like we're going to pass you. What I start before I left the old job, it was, Esther, what do you think? At my new job, Esther, what do you think? So that's a blessing in itself, because not every space is like that. Yeah. If you're fortunate enough to have that space, then there's something that you have to sort of embrace for your people, because it's, how do you create that space for people to just talk? Knowing that it's discomforting, right? Like nobody wants to have this talk, but we acknowledge that this is the safe space to have that conversation, and we have that. And that's why I think sometimes people will say, well, Esther, that's not real, but it's real to me in my world and in the space that I look to be in within my profession. So I just say I'm blessed because my opinion matters, and I make sure my opinion matters.
Mm-hmm. I think you nailed that when you said that you're sheltered, because I am not the only person of color at my job or on my team. My team is predominantly POC, and a lot of us still feel like we don't have a safe space to talk. They have recently started having like town halls and mm-hmm. safe spaces to talk, but this sound good. like it feels like the banana in the tailpipe. It doesn't feel genuine. So mm-hmm. and the reason why it doesn't feel genuine is because there are a lot of microaggressions that people I work with are dealing with, and a lot of people just in general are dealing with, because right now jobs are quote unquote scarce and people are lucky to still have their job. And well, Tina, you're in HR. What is your experience with people who maybe feel like, they can't be open and honest, even though there's a safe space, just because of the climate that we're in? Or are you even experiencing that with anyone at work?
I don't think so. I think the climate right now, people are being open and honest. They're mm-hmm. saying that they don't understand. They didn't know. And they're checking themselves, which I think is good. Okay. They're like, oh, I didn't know that could happen. Oh, I didn't realize what I was doing was affecting this person. I didn't realize that was like a racist gesture. Like, mm-hmm. and it's not only like, Caucasians, it's Indians. I work with Indians, all different races. Didn't realize that, you see a Black person walking down the street and you move to the side. That's your own thought of.
That's innate bias. That's innate racism. Like that's
exactly. But they didn't realize that that's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just thought like, I'm fearful because I've seen this portrayed, on a show, and that's the stereotype that they think. So I think that people are being open and honest, and there's no backlash. And the good thing right now, nobody's getting threatened for their job. Nobody's getting paid off at my company. Yeah, we happen to get raises during the pandemic.
I think those of us that are in healthcare, we didn't get the brunt of the layoffs like other people did. But what were you about to say, Esther?
What I was going to say is that more now than ever, the awareness is there. So people, not white people are just conscious mm-hmm. and aware of what they do and how it impacts what we're dealing with, right? So whether you're in the grocery store and a white woman wants to go to the next aisle rather than standing on this aisle, that's that white woman's issue. Whether you remain in this aisle or whether you don't remain in this aisle, I'm in this aisle. That's a problem for you and not necessarily a problem for me. So the awareness piece is big. And I also think that the welcoming, again, of the conversation is there. Like, it's just there. There isn't a newspaper article that you open up that doesn't mention what's going on. There isn't a TV show that you watch that doesn't mention what's going on. Movies are being made right now about what's going on. Like, you can't hide from it, right? And so the people that are choosing to turn a blind eye, that's them. But there are more not turning the blind eye than those that are turning the blind eye. And I think it's good for us to acknowledge the more than to acknowledge the few, because giving them power is acknowledging that they have a space to behave in that manner. No, you don't have that space. Not when I'm in the room. You can have that space any other time, but when you're in this space, this is that safe space, and the conversation is going to happen, and be okay with it.
So how do we help people who they're not as blessed to be in spaces where it's free flow conversation and the conversation is welcome? That is not everybody's truth. Mm-hmm. That's not most people's truth. Most people are still in a space where if they say something, they will face repercussions. People are still living in neighborhoods with neighbors. I live in a predominantly elderly white portion of Central Florida. So I don't even need to fill in the blanks, but I will. A lot of these motherfuckers been racist, probably still racist, but they ain't fit to say shit because I don't really look like the motherfucker to say shit too. But everybody is not a me, everybody is not a you, ladies. There's a lot of people that are still dealing with it. What tools or tips can you give them to try to make them, I don't know, just enable them to like move about the cabin without feeling fucking fearful?
So I think this is where the spiritual part of me will come out, is that
That's fine. Be yourself.
you have to notice the difference between assertive advocacy, right, and aggressive advocacy, because one is going to make you fail, right? Like, not everybody wants to hear the rah 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 approach. Some people, you just gotta like, this is what it is and this is what it's not, and be okay with the consequence that comes with, whether negative or positive. If don't go into an environment where you feel like yourself is lost. That's not good on your mental, first of all, right? So if you face something that is wrong in any kind of way, it's how you approach it. We all can get angry. We have that space in us because we're people. But how you approach it and what you're going to get out of it, be comfortable with whatever way that you're going to get because of the way you approached it. So address it when it happens. Don't be afraid to address it when it happens, but be mindful of how you're going to address that.
I think that people have to own their blackness, like you're black and that's who you are. And I think that joining groups that affirm that, like I'm part of Jack and Jill, my children go to predominantly white schools, and the reason why I choose to be in certain groups is because I don't want them to forget who they are. And I think that some adults are still dealing with that. They don't really know who they are, and they're black, but they feel like they're not that black person. That's not, like, I wouldn't be in that situation. How do you know?
I need to know the difference between that then, because like, what's black and not black? Like,
but some people,
you know what? Very funny, because I just had this conversation over the weekend. I follow this Afro Latina page, and basically the post was like, if you're Afro Latina, you are black. And some of the people in the comments were just out and out fucking stupid, and I happen to have time and a drink. So let my happy ass right in the comments. And they were saying, oh, just because your grandmother's black doesn't make you black. And I was like, so you big dumb. Like, you a different kind of dumb. Because that is exactly what makes your ass black.
A drop.
Yeah. See, your grandmother didn't beat your ass. That's the problem. Your grandmother probably was one of those blacks that thought she wasn't that black, and she didn't beat your ass. Because had she beat your ass, you would know that your grandmother being black does in fact make you black. So it really, like, that shit is not a foreign concept. This shit Tina's saying, like, this shit happens often. A lot of people think they're the exception.
Like the Dominicans that's darker than me.
Somebody called me light skinned before, and I was like, oh, see, y'all niggas on crack.
Well, you know what?
I was like, y'all on that other shit.
Beyonce's brown skinned girl, right? So I don't know where I was. I think it was a 2 week, either last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was with a friend of mine who was sharing with me that 2 4-year-olds were fighting over that song. The 4-year-olds were, one was darker skin, the other one was lighter skin, and the lighter skin girl told the darker skin girl, well, you can't sing this song because your skin is not dark enough. That's, I mean, like 4 years old. 4 years old. So
that shit is learned behavior. You
know
don't,
what I'm saying?
because at 4 years old, you don't.
What do you know?
That's not your. At 4 years old, you mad about some Barbie dolls or some shit.
No. The dark skin girl told that dark skin, the light skin.
She hears that shit in her house.
She's here exactly. It's learned behavior.
She hears that shit in her house.
You learn hate. You learn hate.
Absolutely.
That's
an absolute fact. So one of the things that me and Esther were talking about before you got to the call, Tina, we were just talking about, like, just the different ways that people are receiving this time. Like, Esther said that she sees this time like as a time of reflection, and I was like, I call this time a reaping season. I feel like Everybody's reaping what the fuck they sowed. Good, bad, or indifferent. Like white people, y'all motherfuckers is uncomfortable as fuck because y'all sowed these motherfucking seeds. And now you're reaping it. Like y'all been fucking with us for 4 whole centuries with your bored asses. And now you're reaping it. And I feel like that's also happening with individuals, like people who have been like really like going through it the last few years, like working hard, got their head down, trying to make things happen, even in spite of everything that's been going on. I've been seeing a lot of people like flourish. New businesses are popping up. People are doing really well. And I just feel like it's a reaping season. I hope you sowed some good shit in advance because you might be reaping some bullshit right now. But Tina, how do you view this season, this time that we're in?
I view this season as like finding who you are. Like what why are you here? Like finding what your worth is, like what's your passion. I think that's why a lot of people are flourishing in this time, just because it's like you have time to think, to do things that you could never do. Like I'm cooking like I am chef.
Send me a plate. Send me a plate.
And it's because you have the time. So if this is something that you like, make the time for it. There's no distractions. So that's why I think all of this happened at the right time. Just because we were all quarantined, we were all home, we were all watching the news. And it's like, you have the time now. You have the time to protest. You have the time to advocate. You have the time, there's no distractions. Kids are not in school. You're not running around, getting in the house 8 o'clock at night, trying to cook, going straight to bed. Like, we have the time. And I think that this was the perfect time. Like people say 2020 vision. I was talking to my husband the other day and I was like, this is really 2020 vision, because people was like, oh, 2020 is canceled, this because of the pandemic, but it's not.
2020 all the way here, all the way live.
All the way live. All the way live.
2020 vision. Like everybody's eyes are wide open. Everybody is seeing clearly right now. And I think that's why it happened now. I think everything happens for a reason. I always say that. And I think that this was and is the time for it to happen, because the distractions are limited. Yes, people are going back to work. Yes, but you still have the time, and now people are focused on turning these wrongs to rights.
Yeah,
making
absolutely.
The time. Like I'm donating to things I've never donated to. I'm educating myself because I don't know everything either.
Nobody does.
And I'm learning.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Snobby, but I'm learning the laws, and there's things that people are not supposed to do. When you get pulled over, you shouldn't do. Think what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And, being from the Bronx, you need to know your rights.
We damn sure do. Esther, go ahead.
So, to all my Black ladies, to all my ladies that are listening, I think that this is a period of reflection and discovery. I say that because most of the time we're stuck in that action, and we never have that time to sit back and reflect and discover new things. And so while we have this period, God rest everybody's soul that has passed because of this situation. And for those of us that are fortunate enough to be counted among the living every day, use that period for yourself, introspect. Like, what is it that you like to do for the first time in your life as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, as a caretaker? Because you don't usually get that opportunity. So now that you have this opportunity, own it. Make it your own. Find the things, discover the things that you normally would not have the time to do because of the fact that you have this obligation and that obligation and this obligation. So this is the period, whether we're reaping what we've sown, however way that comes out, take that time to actually find out if you're reaping what you've sown, and reflect and discover new things, because tomorrow is promised to those that wait. And when you become into that tomorrow, go in there with some goals, go in there with some new ideas. How are you going to be different in a good way? Not in that negative way that you used to be, right? that conflictual way that you used to be. That
I'm gonna keep that. I'm not letting that go. I'm gonna hold on.
That
I'm gonna hold on
competitive
to that.
nature, you know, that competitive nature that you have. Like, that's a lot of energy that you're pushing out.
Listen. For some of us, that's our strong suit. For some of us, that is why we're successful. Like I have an adversarial job. The concept of being anything but competitive is absurd to me.
As long as you find yourself doing it healthy, go for it by all means. Because I know you exercise a lot, so I know
healthy subjective. That's why I exercise a lot, to keep me from fucking people up.
Exactly.
That's your coping mechanism.
Right.
It is my coping mechanism. And when the gym, no bullshit. When the gyms were closed, I was like, yo, somebody's gonna get fucked up. Like, I can't function like this. Like, there's no version. That's why I gained all this goddamn weight.
I don't see it.
It's there. This is thick snobby, okay?
This is 2020 quarantine.
2020 quarantine. Quarantine plus 20.
Yeah, well, 2020 plus 20 pounds, okay? This is thick snobby, all right? I can wear poo-poo shorts like a real, thick girl now because I got all type of extra weight. But I was like, I am losing my mind.
Exercise is good.
Not being able, like, I couldn't run because my ankle is bad. And because I have severe allergies and I live in Florida. That, like, I had environmental allergies, indoor and outdoor. So I'm literally allergic to life.
But you love life.
I love life. I'm not going anywhere. But so, like, I couldn't run because I didn't have access to a treadmill. And I was like, so I can't get in the gym. Only thing that's open is the liquor store. Oh, y'all want me to catch a case. This is Operation Catch a Case.
Easy.
Y'all are fucking with me right now.
Easy.
However, I managed. The gyms are back open. I'm in a good place. I'm going to the gym after I'm done recording.
Your gyms are open?
My gyms are, I live in Florida, aka DeSantis don't give a fuck. He's trying to reopen the schools. And that's like another thing. Like, a lot of parents here, and if you ladies can speak to that in any way, shape, or form, like, just some fucking coping mechanism for these parents to keep their heads on sane, because he's planning to open the schools in August.
I know.
Bruh, not only is it not safe to have more than really like a couple of people that you've already been with. That 10 is not even a valid number unless it's 10 people you already been with. Because 10 new people ain't even fucking safe to be around. So 10 ain't even a valid number. Like, it's already unsafe to be in mass spaces, but he's gonna reopen the schools for the young kids. All of Florida, at least my county, because it was a big thing on the news last week. They are understaffed as far as medical staff. Wow. So you're gonna open the school during a global pandemic when we were already understaffed. We already don't have enough school nurses.
Wow.
We already know that respiratory issues are prevalent in children of color. Big surprise. Who's high risk? People with respiratory issues, the me's of the world, the people that are on asthma pumps every day like me. And I've been asthmatic since I was a kid. And so a lot of the parents that I know here, they're like, man, I might shoot this shit or I might not send my kid back to school. Just,
you know.
Tina, I'm gonna let you have
to work.
I have no children, so that's for you.
Yeah, I have two, and they're both home. And it's like, you have to work. Like, even though I am working from home right now, it's still a struggle, because it's like you still have to do your 9 to 5, and they're doing their thing too, and you have to help them with that. And some parents don't have that luxury of staying home, so they might send their kids to school because then they won't have a job.
And that's my concern.
And that's the thing, like, if you don't, it's either your job or your kids. And it's like, sometimes if you
lose your job, you really can't take care of your kids.
Yeah. So
DeSantis is a dick.
It's really
there was a really good New York Times article that came out about a parent talking exactly about this, about the missing voice of parents as they talk about opening up schools. And
girl, I ain't got no kids, and I'm in a fucking frenzy over here. Like, do not do this.
And it's like, you have to make the choice. Like, here in New York, the mayor announced that he's going to be doing like group A, group B, 3 days a week in school, 2 days a week virtual, then the next week,
the hybrid model.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, that sounds good, right? But is my job going to be the hybrid model?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to be realistic. And it's like, yes, you got to work it out, but some people can't work it out. Like, you're going to leave your kids at home by themselves, and that's going to be another thing. You're going to catch a case.
And then you're going to catch a case.
I feel bad for parents because
And I think a lot of people were doing that, though, leaving their kids by themselves.
I don't think they had no choice, but that's how you catch it. Well, depending on where you at, a DCS case or a CPS case, a DIFAS case, whatever the acronym is, wherever you live and work, you will catch a case, though, and they will snatch your kids and lock your ass up. Mm-hmm. That shit is crazy. And that always adversely affects people of color and poor people, which also tend to be people of color. But Esther, what were you going to say about that New York Times article?
Working. You can't work.
I was going to say that it just talked about the age that we're in right now. Parents have to have, there's only two choices you have. Send your kids to school or have a job. And both of those are hard at this time. So that voice, I think more parents need to start talking. There's not a lot of that happening.
I think they're talking, but they're not listening.
Got it.
Yeah, because I'm like, this is where I got the insight from. Like when I seen it, and also probably because I used to be an educator, because I used to work in the schools. Mm-hmm. When I seen it, I was like, oh, no, this is fucking crazy. Yeah. First of all, you can't put kids in the school and think kids are going to socially distance. They're fucking kids. And they're kids that haven't seen their friends in months.
And they shouldn't be treated as if like they're caged. And I think that's
Correct.
What it's going to be like. It's going to be like this militant type of atmosphere, very traumatic for kids to go into an environment like that. And I don't think that's being thought about either. And I just said that out loud for the first time because I haven't been thinking like that either. Because when you're talking about straight line walking and 6 feet apart and
with fucking second graders,
right? Kindergartners.
Be realistic. Like they don't do it now.
It's not realistic. It's not realistic. It's not.
It's not. And I personally, I feel like it's unhealthy as shit. Yeah. If we don't have enough nurses, I have no doubt that we don't have enough social workers in the schools. Mm-hmm. That's a given, because the nurses they're gonna hire a nurse before they hire a social worker. Always. So we're running low on nurses. We're definitely running low. We're running even lower on social workers. And to your point, this is gonna be hella traumatic for small kids to be getting disciplined for just being 6-year-olds.
Pull your mask up. Pull your mask
More
up.
suspensions. Yeah. Let's talk it out now. More suspensions, which would
Of course.
People of what? People of color. So So it's just a lot of systemic.
And now they're back home after the parent done figured out a system to get their kid to school so they could go to work. Man. Now the kid is back home. Like it's a concentric sprawl of bullshit set up to fuck DeSantis. Fuck DeSantis the long way. But before... Like I really I'm super, super active here in Florida, like, cause we got to get rid of everybody. Like,
we got to get rid of everybody.
No, we really do. Like, I feel like the human race is gonna be extinct because these motherfuckers just don't care. Like they just
Florida.
They like you, like these people in Florida do not care. They don't care about any. These are Cheetos homeboys, so they don't care about anybody but themselves. So they don't think of the collective.
People are not listening. Like the minimum thing you gotta do is wear masks.
Minimum. Well, half of these motherfuckers ugly. So put that shit on anyway, bro, because I ain't trying to see your face. How about that shit, Mo?
And they committed all these things. They're getting videotaped. If you had a mask on, nobody would have known who you were.
I mean, we'll figure out other ways to find you. Black Twitter is a very, very good at tracking motherfuckers.
It's so crazy how they find these people so fast.
I live on Twitter. I be on Black Twitter like, get that bitch.
They need to hire them for the FBI.
Wow. Seriously, they are way better than everybody.
Name, where you live, your job, your
everything.
Wow.
So this happened. A lady harassed this black dude. She flipped him off, called him a nigga. He followed her. He recorded her. She had a mask on. And she started doing the fucking Amy Cooper shit. Oh my God, get off of me. Meanwhile, he's clearly a distance away because he's recording. and she's yelling and screaming, but she's got her mask on, so she thinks that she won't be seen. She's like, "Oh, you're not gonna cause me to lose my job." He recorded her plates. Boom, bitch, gotcha. Bitch, we escaped slavery. We are witty. Are you fucking crazy? You think we can't find you?
I don't get, they catch them in like, no lie, 1 hour of posting.
Wow.
Yo, easy. I'm telling you, I'll be sitting on Twitter. I would like get up to go to the bathroom, come back, they'd have found that bitch kids.
Exactly.
They know what home her grandmother's in.
Wow.
You need to work for the FBI.
Wow.
So, like, my final question before I give you guys the floor, just to give us your final thoughts. Amy Cooper, she's the one in Central Park that called the police on Buddy and carried on, showed her ass. Buddy called the cops. Now there's a whole new law because of her ass. And Buddy's response was, "Oh, everybody was too mean to her." Why are Black people? What? The victim said that that social media overdid it. Basically in defending him, he felt like we went too far because everybody caused her to lose her job and her life was in turmoil and all this other shit. Bruh, she didn't give a fuck about you losing your life. But you're defending her against the people that went to bat for you. So why do y'all think Black people so damn apathetic? Like, y'all deal with the nicer side of humans. So I am interested in why, because I deal with the ugly side of humans.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's embedded in us. We are forgiving because of our history. Like, even though he knew what happened was wrong, it's like we don't want to see nobody fail, which doesn't, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Like, in that instance, I wouldn't give two shits. Like,
at all.
Fire her, send her to jail. I love Cuomo. He named the law after her, so she will forever remember that she messed up. You understand what I'm saying? But it's like, that's a lot of us just have that forgiving nature. Like, and I don't know what it is.
It's contra to being a human, because humans are animals, and as an animal, self-preservation is your natural instinct. To be apathetic to someone who's trying to kill you is contra to being a human being.
But I don't think that's everybody.
No, but it's in large droves. Black people in large droves. At least the generation, I would say, our generation and the generations prior to us, in large droves. Those are some sympathetic. Oh my God, I know they did that, but don't hurt them. Bitch, I'm finna fuck her life up. You crazy.
And I think that sometimes we put ourselves in their shoes, and I think that's what it is. Like, I wouldn't want one mistake to mess up my whole life, and I think that's how. If he said that, and you said he said it.
He said it.
That's probably what he's thinking. Like, this one video is going to ruin her entire life, her entire existence, and he's probably putting himself in his shoes. Like, he was 50 years old, almost 50.
Yeah, he was in his late 40s.
Yeah, like, I worked this long for what I have, and it's all ruined because of this one moment. And I think that's what it is. He probably was reflecting on himself and thinking, what would happen if I did this? I don't think it was really about her. And most of the time when people are talking, it's not really about the other person. It's really about yourself.
Yeah.
He probably felt bad. Like, if this happened to me, I will be devastated.
That's so crazy, because that one moment really did almost fuck up your whole life, sir.
I know, but he's not about that.
I know. No. I totally understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, that's so crazy for it to be anyone's train of thought to put yourself in somebody else's shoes when your shoe was almost smoked. Like,
I've been silent because my response is personal. So, Tina, you're absolutely right in that you kind of, that conditioning of being empathetic in nature means something, even when you're faced with your own life being toiled with, or whatever the case may be, because when you have the opportunity to do something bad to somebody and you want to exercise it so bad, you're conflicted within. So some people, just like you said, some people can have conflict with retaliation or revenge or whatever the case may be. And for me and my experience, which was traumatic, a lot of that was that there's a conflict in me. It's another black man who's going to get in trouble for, whatever it is that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my conflict, that I had to deal with that until it was like, but wait a minute. I got to the Tasha level, which is like, wait, this person did something bad to me and they should have a consequence for what they did to me. But it's a lot of internal self stuff that you go through to actually get to a point where you want to say, I forgive. There is, I can't even, not for me, the forgiveness is, God is still working on me. I'll say that.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's that conflict of being at peace or carrying this with you, right? So I'd rather choose peace than choose all this with me. You know what I mean? So it could have been in that kind of mindset.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Like, it could have been something like, as you said, it could have been something from his past. A lot of people deal with things that, their own past and their own feelings, and they bring that to the situation. I always say people have their own baggage, and we all have our own baggage, and we don't know what people are carrying and what trigger people, in general. Like, so I think that that's a lot for many people, that if you have your own baggage, and just like she said, she has her own personal, situation that happened to her, that comes into play in your life. So if you don't deal with everything that you have inside, then it plays out in person. And that's probably why he felt sorry for her. It had to have been something that he probably went through, or something somebody else went through, and it was just triggering something in him, and then just made him feel bad for her.
That makes sense.
It had nothing to do with the situation. It had more so to do with him.
And it's person to person, right? Like, it's a person to person thing. It can't, my experience is not your experience. So you might have a different response.
Yeah, everybody got their own baggage. Like Erica Rod, bag lady.
They carrying it, right?
Because I know my response, and that would not have been his response.
No. Something could have triggered you to be like,
this is why I need to run. I know if I'm triggered, I'm going to react in a violent manner. I am prone to violence. I know this. I know myself. I'm very self-aware. I have done a lot of unattractive work on bettering myself. So I am wholly conscious of the good, the bad, the ugly, which is why I prefer to be, in a good time. Like, I like to stick to a jam, because anything else, if I'm pushed too far, I am prone to violence for a million reasons, growing up in the Bronx being one of them, when I grew up in the Bronx, but just also shit that I honestly wasn't even cognizant of until I started talking about it, and just like experiences I had that I probably should not have had. But again, I grew up in the Bronx in the 80s. So, it was what it was. And because I'm prone to violence, I try to give people, listen, give me my 6 feet without this pandemic.
Exactly.
I'm liable to put this bar card up for fucking
pull your mask down. I want to see it.
That's it.
I would have beat Amy Cooper's ass. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I would have beat Amy Cooper's ass in that part.
There's a long line of people.
So that dog would have.
I would have fucking beat her. I would have stabbed that dog. I keep a knife on me. I would have fucking harmed that dog. I would have harmed her. I know that I'm prone to violence, which is why I don't like to get in shit. Leave me alone. I'm at the bar, baby. Just leave me be. I'm not trying to fuck with nobody. I don't want nobody fucking with me. But people are really fucking feeling empowered to do the bullshit these days. Like I read this morning, that actually I saw the video. Excuse me, I didn't read it. I watched this shit. A woman coughed on a fucking baby in a restaurant because she didn't want to wear a mask. Bruh, understand. I would beat the brakes off a bitch. I ain't even got no kids, and that shit had me in an uproar this morning. You coughed on a baby And the baby was in the stroller.
Damn.
It's not even like it's a toddler of age walking around. No, she walked over to their stroller. First of all, why you that close? 6 feet. Back the fuck up. Then you cough intentionally on a baby. Go ahead and send me them Newports, because I'm going to be in motherfucking Bedford Hills or Orange County lockup. Ain't no way. Like, that's not even my kid, and I couldn't have seen no shit like that.
But I feel like a lot of people feel like they're losing control.
Yeah.
Yes.
My lighting
is so angry. Like, why is asking you to put on your mask a big deal? If you don't have it on, then guess what? You can leave. What is it? Yeah. It's like
very simple.
The power struggle right now. It's a power struggle. It's a power struggle, and they're losing, and they don't like it.
Because they reaping. That reap is a motherfucker.
That's what it is. That's what it definitely is. And slowly but surely.
They are reaping. So I just want to give you ladies a minute or two to just kind of give us some final thoughts on good self-care techniques while we are still pushing through the original pandemic and the COVID pandemic. Either one of you feel free to go.
I'll start just because I talk about it all day. I think one is staying connected to people, even if it's virtually. I say talk and see somebody every single day. Even if you're working from home, turn that camera on sometime with those meetings, even though you don't want people to see you looking like with your hair looking a mess. I say turn the cameras on because you need that interaction. People need to see other people. I say lose yourself in a movie. I say movies are really good, and binge watching right now is really good. Catch up on shows that you haven't seen, because it sometimes just takes your mind somewhere else. And I think that's very helpful. What I've been doing, I've been looking at old pictures. That helps, like that nostalgia of, oh, I used to travel. I was here. I was there. And it just makes you feel like there's hope. And when this is over, when this is over, you get to do that again. And you pray that, you just make it through that, and do that. And also exercising, I think, is very important, because even if you can't get to the gym, there's so many free workouts right now because everybody's stuck at home. You can do a 15-minute workout, 20-minute, anything just to get your body moving, because being still is not good because it just idles your mind. And that's what a lot of people with mental illness right now, it's hard for them just because you're sitting in your thoughts, and that is so dangerous for some people. Like, that's not who I am. I don't suffer from any mental illness, but if you're suffering from anxiety or depression and you're sitting alone and you're just thinking, that's what messes you up. Because you're just thinking, you're not watching TV, you're not talking to nobody, you're just sitting in your thoughts. And if you start journaling, sometimes people, even journaling for them is not helpful, because you're writing your thoughts and you're not sharing it with anybody. You're not talking to nobody. So I say virtual therapy visits, if you need that. All these therapists are online right now. I say talk to them. People think they don't need therapists. We all do.
Yes,
we all have stuff that we're dealing with. And for those who suffer from mental illness, you definitely need to talk to someone. So those are my self-care tips. And just pick up a new hobby, cook, draw. If you're drawing, play the guitar, learn an instrument. YouTube is your friend right now, and utilize that.
Thanks, Tina. Esther?
I would say mindfulness is very, 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 very good to the soul. Be accepting and acknowledging that the time is hard, and like Tina said, manage your feelings and own your feelings. And it's okay to go from being happy one day and sad the next, but acknowledge that if it's getting worse, it's okay to seek professional help, because there isn't anything wrong with that. It's trying times. We're expected to still perform the same way as if it was normal, and that's stressful on anybody. So journaling, taking walks. I always I've been encouraging my previous team that I worked with, is that have a day of without Zoom calls, without video calls. Let's go back to how it used to be when you just have teleconferences, because Zoom and any video conferencing, you're on stage, and that's also stressful. So how do you, I'm talking about the professionals that have to continuously use video conferencing to stay at work, incorporate just the telephone alone conference at least once a week to keep yourself off the stage, the walking, be mindful that social distancing is not social distancing, it's you physically not being next to somebody. So that means your socializing
from people
can still happen, and you have to find a different way to socialize.
Yes.
And still keep your physical distance from other people. So whether that's journaling, taking the walk, watching a movie, binge. Ray Donovan, I still think is the shit. So
it got bad, girl. It got bad. I had to tap out after like.
No, I took it all the way. I took it all the way.
That shit fell all the way off.
Quarantine had me. Queen of the South. I'm about to jump on that too. Season 5.
That's a bad bitch. I gotta finish season 4.
You know, find something that releases the normal. The normal is a setting on a dryer, so don't use that. But it's just all about just finding a different space for your peace, because your peace is everything.
Yes.
Those are great tips, except for binging Ray Donovan. That was a and I just want to let everybody know, if you choose to binge Ray Donovan, don't blame Black Girl SOS for that shit, because we're not co-signing that shit.
I say you should. Go for it.
We're not co-signing that at all. But ladies, those are great tips. This was a great conversation, and I really appreciate you guys hopping on Black Girl SOS with me. Thank you.
Bye.
So I am so grateful to my good sisters that came on and spoke to us today. And then I also wanted to just let you know that Cheryl Donald, some of you may know her if you're in the New York City running community. Very dope sister. She is, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm correct, she's a licensed family therapist, and she is having a Black Clinicians Collective on Thursday, July 16th from 9 to 10:30 a.m. and it's going to be on Zoom. I have the flyer posted on the IG story for Black Girl SOS. I will post it on the page, and I'll add her information to the bio, and I'll add it to the bottom of the video. But if you are a Black clinician, wherever you are, please try to join in. We really do need a collective of just clinicians that understand our story, understand what we're going through, that can really talk to us in our experience. And that's not to say that if your professional, if your mental health professional, if your therapist or whatever is someone who's not of color, that this person isn't helping you or can't help you. It's just to say that there is a lot to be said for having someone who can walk in your shoes, who has walked in your shoes, hear your story, and be able to give you feedback and give you advice and just give you tools and tips on how to get through this. And so getting that collected together, I think, is so dope, and I think it's so important. And no, Cheryl did not ask me to, she didn't ask me to plug it. I'm not being paid to plug it. I just think it's really dope. I think it's really important. I'm always happy to support any substantive work that any of us are doing to move the dial forward and get us all to a better place. So like I said, I'm going to share that information, and you can follow her on Instagram at Black Pearl Runs, and she has the link in her bio for that Zoom. Again, that Zoom is on July 16th, and it's from 9 to 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So with that being said, I thank you so much for joining me. I thank you so much for subscribing if you have already. If you have not, stop wilding out. Do me that solid. And, click subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Yes, I need you to subscribe on all the platforms. A lot of people have asked me about the Black Girl SOS shirts. They are coming soon. I'm working on it. First of all, I appreciate that you guys are even interested in merch, and I'm working on it. I'm trying to secure a, you know, a Black owned, preferably woman owned provider to get these done. So I am not able to move as quickly as I want to because I just want to make sure that I'm still paying a good price. Like I'm still about my money, but I do want to make sure that I, you know, support our endeavors every opportunity I get. So, you know, I'm trying to sort that out, and hopefully I'll be able to get this, I'll be able to get some merch out by the end of the summer. I put that on tape so that you all can hold me accountable to making sure that I'm making all efforts to get merch out and merch available. But again, I thank you guys so much. Excuse me, I thank you gals so much. I really appreciate all the support, all the feedback. Please continue to chime in the comments on IG, chime in the comments and YouTube, subscribe, share, tell a friend. And until next time, you have a good one.